Welcome to Thrones and Scones. It's your weekday morning podcast where we talk Game of Thrones over breakfast on a Friday. Hello! We're tickling. We're tickling? We're going to tickle Season 4, Episode 5, first of his name. Ooh. And today also, cheddar and bacon. It's Tony, Hans, and Jeremy in with you. What is up, guys?
Happy Friday. Happy Friday.
This is that awkward part in this show when I just stop talking and just don't contribute at all as I frantically search the wiki, which I should have done before we even started. But...
Okay, so I made a mistake. I said 4 was better. But this is one of the best episodes of the season.
Well, it hadn't happened yet. I don't think you made a mistake.
Yeah, no, but I had already seen this episode yesterday, and I was like, oh, no, this is so good. I was just looking over my notes. This is a great episode. So much to talk about. Enjoyed it.
Shall we hit the... It's a very short wiki today. So you guys have anybody that you'd like to hear just very briefly from?
Jeremy, any ideas?
SpongeBob SquarePants.
Oh.
Intriguing
I've never
challenge.
even attempted it. Okay.
Do you need to pull something on your phone so you can hear him talk?
I don't think I could talk like it. How do you even begin?
That'll do.
Weenie Hut Jr. I don't know what he sounds like. Cersei and Tywin plot the crown's next move. No, got it. Not even close. Danny discusses future plans. Jon Snow embarks on a new mission to Bikini Bottom.
Bikini Bottom. Can you do Patrick?
I could probably do Patrick better than I could do.
Although to give you the laugh was pretty much on point.
Cersei and Tywin plot the crown's next move. Danny discusses future plans. Jon Snow embarks on a new mission. Got a little weird at the end. Patrick, by the way, I'm sure everyone knows. It's not like a hidden thing. Patrick was in How I Met Your Mother. Did you know this?
No. Who is he?
He's Marshall's dad.
Oh, really?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I've seen all that. I didn't know how I didn't know that.
Now you know. Anyway.
I didn't know that either.
Patrick Starr, first of his name.
First of his name. No, this is Patrick.
Is this Tom and Baratheon? No. This is Patrick. Oh yeah, Jeremy. I think you're onto something. I don't think this episode is like God tier by any means, but
no.
we do get some pretty good moments in it. So I mean, you like it. Tell me some of the things that you're loving.
Okay, so Crasher's Keep. So little John has recruited some of the Night's Watch. They're going up there. Bran, Jojen, Mira, Hodor are being held captive. Mm-hmm. We know now that Locke has found them, but doesn't tell anyone. So like you're like, oh, what the fuck is he plotting? Because we know he's up there specifically to get someone. So that entire setting is great for me. I really enjoyed it.
Yeah, I agree with that.
I feel like you're just kind of trying to show off at this point, dropping all these names.
And correctly.
Sorry, I wrote everything down. I'll start all over. Braun, Hojin.
No, I liked it.
Mara.
Please don't.
This is the whole Jamie rape thing. Come on, you've made progress. Stick to your progress.
Anyway, so we get up there. That's the Night's Watch. Like a battle's coming, right? We haven't had a good fight in a while. It's as good as what we expect it to be. A lot of although I mean, do you believe that Jon is that good of a sword fighter? Like, he still seems to struggle a lot.
I think that they've set him up to be, like, pretty good.
But not great, though, right?
I mean, are you talking about him going toe-to-toe with Carl? Like, that's what you don't buy?
He kind of gets his ass kicked, though.
But he's holding his own against someone who is an assassin, right? I mean,
but he was going to get killed. I mean, he lost that fight.
Here's where Jon fucked that fight up. They're fighting around a campfire for a minute, and Jon, allows Carl to go around and close the distance with these daggers when he could just swing at him with his sword.
He's a broadsword swinging around. But when he gets Carl through the mouth, that is
It's a very good kill.
Yeah.
That is so...
And then it pans off to the profile view of it, and you're like, he really came in at an odd angle just to do that thing.
That's some forearm strength.
That's what I was
right?
wondering. Yeah, that wasn't the most convenient way to kill him.
He's like he's on his knees with his arm above his head to get the angle.
But it was dramatic.
They should have had him like on top of a chair, like he had set it up just to be able to do it.
Yeah, no.
Yeah.
It was
This
great.
is also kind of the first. I mean, there's another awesome kill on the other side of the camp, and Hodor just basically snapping Locke's neck in half.
Yeah, almost rips his head off.
Which is crazy. And you can tell, like, after Bran leaves his body, he's having some sort of existential crisis, or as he would call it, a Hodor. But, you know, it's messing with him, man.
Yeah.
But
so the best.
Yeah.
Just that
Also,
one section is the best part of the episode for me.
everything's up there is pretty good.
It's good.
I kind of like the Jojen stuff as well. It's the first time we're getting to see the visual representation of his visions. You know, we don't necessarily read into it enough. I mean, I certainly didn't the first time I saw it. Now knowing what happens, he's very much seeing his own death. And he's kind of accepted that and succumbed to it, which is kind of cool. But when he's talking about, like, I saw you die, like, just very matter of factly, like, only said with the confidence of a pretty shy kid, of somebody who must know what's about to happen. Like, it's pretty cool.
I think don't they even say that in the future without going, like, that he knew he was going to die by doing this trip?
Yeah.
But that he still did it?
Yeah.
Which you're like, oh, it's kind of because he's upbeat for a lot of it. So, yeah.
Pretty
true.
ballsy for a little kid.
Yeah.
Good old Ferb.
And Ghost gets his revenge. Another just, like, refreshing.
Yeah. And gets reunited with Jon.
Yeah, that was a good scene.
But you notice Summer's not in this episode. They can only afford one wolf at a time.
Yeah.
They talk about Summer like, all right, let's go free Summer. And then we just assume it happens.
Yeah.
But, yeah.
They should have done the shot where it's just like they're all talking about how they're freeing Summer, and they're like, "Oh, Hodor, go free Summer." And they're like, "Oh, he's freeing him," and they're just showing they're not showing Hodor actually free Summer.
Hodor, lefty loosey.
They're just showing everyone watching Hodor free Summer. Oh,
like,
it's so good to see him free.
That would have been better. Yeah. And in stark contrast to what's happening above the wall, where things are starting to pick up and people are deciding to take action, Dany makes the decision, which we've already kind of spoken about, to just sit and be boring. Yep.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, I don't think it's a bad decision. I understand where she's coming from, but it's going to lead to a lot of problems for her, and you know, maybe rightly so. She's going to find out that she's not as good at this as she thinks she is. And some of it will be fun to watch, and unfortunately some of it will be maybe even Karth levels of slow.
Maybe. We'll see.
When I was watching that scene with her in the pyramid and where she walks out, and you know how the doors, like, frame her standing there? Like, all I could think of is, like, the general rules in art and cinematography of framing. It's like someone's, like, wet dream to get that shot, right? Like, they're like
that beautiful thirds.
Yeah, they're like, this is what I went to school for this moment. Believe it. It seems so fake to me.
Yeah, we also get to see Lysa just being absolutely crazy.
Batshit.
My weirdest part, it's my least favorite part of the episode because it goes on for far too long and gets far too weird. And they throw on an exposition dump to it the first time when she's like, you gave me the poison for Jon, to kill him, my husband. You did it. Like, you know. And then it gets, and you're like, okay, and then they leave, and then she's having dinner with Sansa, and you're like, okay, we're gonna calm down, and then she's like, are you pregnant, you whore? What did you let him do to you?
Yeah.
What the hell?
She's fucking insane, and also quite vocal.
Quite vocal.
Yeah. We had to hear that. That was, disturbing as always.
Integral to the plot.
Yeah.
And
I've got a question.
Comedic. Oh, okay, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
No, I was just saying, and then the thing I actually liked about this episode is you have crazy, awesome, and comedy. I mean, you get Podrick and Brienne, which I would argue is, again, him riding the horse is hilarious to me.
It's pretty funny. Because it's like, it's that level of, all right, they're telling exposition, because they're not doing anything. They're literally just traveling, and they're talking. And I don't think their conversation is bad, but they're not trying to horseshoe this into a moment that doesn't need it. And then they're just throwing a little... comedic element to it. I thought it was a fine, it's a funny scene.
He's like sliding around, jerking the horse everywhere. I love that he's like talking to her. The horse keeps going past. It was just entertaining.
Now, just doubling back to Lysa and Peter Baelish real quick. It's said in the show now, we understand that Peter Baelish and Lysa have a history, romantic history. They done had some sex before.
They done had it.
And now in the books, I don't think it's ever hinted at in the show, but they're playing Littlefinger very much the same, so I would imagine it, but it's kind of irrelevant. And so I guess this question will mostly be for Jeremy. In the books, they imply that it's happened, and Littlefinger very much says a couple times that he also had sex with Catelyn, and that he took her lady Ginity, as it were. And it's never confirmed by Catelyn or something. I think Littlefinger goes so far as to tell Sansa that it happened. Jeremy, do you think that actually happened?
So, I think. So I'm gonna clarify the question because I'm trying to make sure I answer it correctly. Are you asking in the show? Is it an understood thing?
No, because I don't think it would be. I mean, I think it's just implying. The show's very much implying that he's pining after her unsuccessfully forever.
Yeah, and that's kind of what comes across of like, I've always loved you, right?
Yeah.
And then she's like, okay, yeah, but we weren't a thing. Where in the book they were, so...
But it's never actually said other than by him that they were. So my question is, do you think that they were actually a thing?
I do.
You do? Okay.
I do. Because I think that is... I mean... It's a believable motivation in the book more so than in the show, his love for her.
My only caveat to that is if it were true, why does he have a romantic history with Lysa? Because he's never loved her. And the only reason I can see him going to her is because he can't have her sister.
I would say that's still a reason. He still wants to be around Catelyn. Right? So he feels like if he's in the family or if he has access to her sister, then he would have a reason to be around her.
Perhaps.
I mean, yeah, go ahead.
Oh, I was just going to say, just in regards to Littlefinger in general, I just like how in this episode they basically explain why this dude makes no sense. And it's not a good explanation. He's just like, oh, you just have to do things that make no sense so that you're unpredictable. Like all this stuff. And it's like, so nothing you do is for any purpose. Okay, good.
It's lazy writing. I'm sorry. That's a lazy way of...
It's actually the same, and you understand why it works so well here, and people do hate me for this occasionally. It's this very same reason why I don't think the Joker is a good villain. Because when you set up a character that just could conceivably do anything for any motive, you can do anything you want, and no one can really question it. And I think it's lazy, and I don't like the Joker, and I don't like Littlefinger for that reason.
I never thought of that, but I actually think that's a really good argument.
It's fair.
Because motivation, we want that underlying, that concrete that's built on, right? That temple that you kind of go to. And I would agree with Joker especially. Of course, there's so many renditions in the comics now, like where he's all over the place, where he's good in, I can't think of the series. That's so annoying to me.
The one of the coolest, just before we wrap this up here, one of the coolest Game of Thrones moments from this show that was kind of glossed over. They rushed on to some busier stuff right away. The Lannisters are broke. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Or at least going broke.
The bank.
They're very much out of money because their gold mines ran dry, I believe 3 years ago, which is, how do you keep that secret?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I don't know. We kind of had already learned a little bit that they were struggling, right? We learned that they were in huge debt, and now we just get the formal confirmation.
Well, we learned that the crown was in debt, but we also knew that the crown was in debt to the Lannisters, so we would think that they've got money.
That's
but now it looks like even that is just a front at this point.
So that scene, Tywin and Cersei, that was probably one of the things that said at the end was like the worst for me, because she makes a point to be like, well, you know, this is about family, and what do you, because he says to her, you know, I'm the judge, we can't talk about your brother in the trial, right? And she's like, well, we're not going to talk about it, but this is about family, and what are you going to do about, you know, the one that sets the house on fire? And then he like looks at her like, oh, well said, and he walks away. I'm like, wait a minute.
Yeah, it does affect him.
But that would suggest that he's guilty, which you say you're not going to talk about.
Well, I think that's on on precedent. Like, hey, we're not supposed to be talking, but 100% how he's going to react in that trial.
Yeah, no, exactly. I don't know. I can't stand her. So she annoys the fuck out of me.
The last tidbit, as I say, the last thing.
Chid my bits, Hans.
The last thing I want to bring up about this episode is they are north of the wall in Craster's Keep. I'm taking us back there. Yep. They're even explaining to these women that they should come with because there's wildlings on the way. There's other worse things out there, specifically White Walkers. Yeah. So then what do they decide to do? They decided to light a giant ass fire at night. Just to symbolically light that fire. Especially when we know too that the whole plan of the wall and all that stuff was that Mance was going to light this big fire as some symbol of what's going to happen. Granted, I don't think this is the biggest fire that the North has ever seen, but I feel like they would try and be a little more subtle than that, knowing all these enemies that are probably fairly close by.
Also, it's the dead of night. They could have slept there and then left in the morning.
Yeah.
Wait, we're going to burn it? Yep. We're going to lose our shelter. Burn it.
Yeah, that's
I just wish they would have, like, at the end of that scene when they're kind of, like, all looking at the fire, one of them would have John would have went, well, that wasn't a very good idea.
Yeah. This is also the first, we know that her mindset is already getting there, but this is kind of the first inclination that Arya might have the talent to back up her bravado with a sword.
Oh, yeah.
She's getting her water dance on. It looks good.
Yeah.
No, it doesn't look bad.
And then she learns that lesson from the Hound real quick.
The Hound backslaps her.
Do you think the Hound looked a little surprised that she actually went for it?
It's true. Yeah. Well, because, I mean, in her mind, that was center of chest, and she was surprised that the armor stopped it. She was ready to kill him.
Wait,
she was.
Was she doing her song in this one where she's saying and she says the last name and she says the Hound and then goes to sleep?
Yeah.
He's like, oh, continue on, and and then she says the Hound and then goes to sleep.
Yeah.
This relationship is building, right? Which it's very good. He's protective of her. He is starting to, show kind of like a parenting. And I think he does feel like he's giving her good advice when he's like, look, nothing is fair. We have to take to survive. You can't be weak. If you're weak, you're going to die. And I'm trying to get you to understand that. And then he's like, after all I've done for you, you still want to kill me. You still don't get it.
I don't know. I'm sorry.
I was going to say that just got really
I was trying to think, and I was like, no, that was very succinct. I didn't have anything else to add.
It was a good point.
Good.
I kind of wish Arya would just come around, and I don't know. But in our eyes, he kind of killed almost, again, it's not easily forgivable, I understand, but he did kind of kill just like a nobody character.
It's true.
As far as the show goes. So to her it was a friend.
Die all the time.
To her it was a friend. To us it wasn't really that big of a deal. So I don't know. It's hard to say.
And she will come around.
Yeah.
In a way. But it is taking its sweet time. I will say quick, good, bad, and jugglies.
No good and bad. Wait, there
had to be.
I thought there was a nudity warning. Though.
I thought Craster's Keep. I thought there were some floppies. No.
No. I think you're right. But anyway,
this one. And
that's
then,
a bummer.
Yeah.
Tony, how's that scone?
I am having one just because I made a batch, but I'm actually tomorrow.
Oh shit! That's my bad. Jeremy, how's that
Yeah.
going?
It's good. So I have my first savory. It is cheddar and bacon, Dorothy Lane Market.
A
Pristine.
lot of Dorothy Lane Markets. Are you going to just post your normal 1970s biology textbook photo with just the white bar on the bottom saying cheddar and bacon?
If I feel like it gets the point across that it's delicious, then yes, I will.
I don't think if those pictures get any point across, it is in fact not delicious.
Yeah, it's funny because your guys' pictures are more like, modern art interpretation of movement, wind, and sea or something, and mine is just a picture of, the skirt.
We're trying to go for Earth, Wind, and Fire.
Yeah.
I'm not so sure that your pictures are. My theory is that you forget to take the picture, you eat the scone, take a dump, and then take a picture of that.
Well, the ones you're talking about they were not taken by me, and I don't like wasting pictures.
That's plagiarism.
Oh my, yeah, that's blasphemy. You are already under review. We talked about this. You're under investigation for these questionable scone reviews. We're worried that you're getting slid money
Yeah,
under the pocket.
and look at this. You've made us
Under the
talk
table.
about scones for far too long.
Are we?
And then,
Are we talking about it too long?
Just one other thing to say is I think your photo before those weird textbook photos, the scone was upside down. It's like you didn't even try.
Well, I think that was the one that Ethan took, right?
Yes. Yeah.
He's a visionary. Maybe he's a visionary, and I just don't get it. I don't know.
He's like, Dad, this represents a scone, and it's in a sad place because it's not in your belly. And I'm like, oh, I get it.
Now watch me do the floss dance.
I just and play Fortnite.
He's like, let's play some Smash.
You down with GOT?
Yeah, you know me.
What did you guys? I think we've talked about Batfleck a little bit before. Rest in peace, Batfleck. What did you guys think of Jared Leto Joker?
Shit.
You didn't like it?
What did you think of Jared Leto? Shit.
I'm okay with Jared. I kind of liked the Joker. I thought that they were trying to shoehorn him into the wrong story. For that kind of style of Joker, but
I'm not saying that he couldn't have done given the right. Maybe you're right. Given the right movie or given the right story, maybe he could have been okay. I didn't like the look of him in general. I thought he was okay, but the tattoos got a little more, the tattoos on the forehead and all that stuff got a little bit too much for me. Yeah, it just never clicked for me.
Do you guys have high hopes for Joaquin Phoenix?
Yeah, I do actually. I like Joaquin a lot.
I don't. What are they going to do with that? With that, what is if it's solely on the Joker? I just don't know what they're going to do plot wise.
Yeah, I'm not sure. Not really
Seems
sure.
Strange. You guys, 30 Seconds to Mars fans?
I didn't like their last. So this is one of the only instances that might exist in this world, of a modern band at least, that my mom got into and then kind of got me into.
Really?
My mom was a big 30 Seconds to Mars fan, and I was at that age and stage where I just wanted to fight it. And then I kind of, I came around. So I liked them for a little while. Their most recent stuff I didn't care for.
I like their music videos. I like that they do epic kind of stories. I think that's awesome.
Yeah, I don't. I've never been too into them. I don't think they're bad by any means. I haven't really. I'm trying to think of what Jared Leto's in that's any good. I've never really thought of him as good or bad.
He's supposed to be really good in, what is it, Dallas Buyers Club?
I haven't seen that one.
I haven't seen it either.
The most, I guess, other than Suicide Squad, the only other thing I've seen him in recently would be the new Blade Runner movie, where he's he's the bad guy. And I thought he was the worst part of that movie. And I love that movie. It's one of my favorite movies. And I thought he was very weak.
He's annoying.
Yeah.
And whiny. And Jared Leto.
Yeah, and he was really the low point of that movie for me. And I guess the only other thing I can even think of that he was in was Fight Club, right? The Blondie.
Oh, yeah. He was okay in Fight Club.
He was good in Fight Club, yeah. But he didn't have that many. He had 4 lines, maybe.
Just, it's so off topic and so different. But I am curious. I very rarely think about things in this kind of level. But I'm not necessarily talking about your favorite. I'm not talking about who's booking the most. From a sheer level of talent, who do you think is the best actor alive, or currently active, male or female?
I thought you were gonna say in Game of Thrones. I didn't
I was
know.
gonna say, yeah.
Yeah.
I didn't know we were going this broad.
Actually, yeah, we could narrow it a little bit. Let's go Game of Thrones so we can bring it back to
let's
topic.
at least start with Game of Thrones. Yeah.
The best actor or actress in Game of Thrones right now.
I think just off the top of my head, without thinking about it too hard, I think I gotta throw a shout out to the actor who plays Tywin.
Charles Dance.
Charles Dance is.
I gotta throw a shout out to Nikolai.
Yeah, Nikolai.
He's excellent. Yeah,
I think he'd be my vote.
I think he would be too. It's hard to. I mean, it's gotta be tough to rape someone on a show and still be likable, right? I mean, that only the actor can do that.
Yeah,
like that's not right. Oh, solely writing.
I will say, actually, just on the topic of Nikolai, very similar in a way to Isaac Hempstead Wright, who plays Bran Stark, in that if you see either of them in an interview, they are like the laughiest, funniest. Like, I don't think I've ever seen Bran's actor even have a moment of sadness, like in an interview. Like he's weirdly positive and optimistic. And then you go to the show perspective, and he plays like a sourpuss. And I know that you're not necessarily into his story arc or anything, but he's doing a pretty good job too there.
Yeah, not bad.
And Nikolai's the same way. He's very, very bubbly. And I've always thought, and this is probably just race, I thought he was like Russian or something. But I think he's Danish, actually.
Interesting.
I can't think of her name, but the actress who plays Cersei is
Lena Headey.
She's pretty spot on. Mm-hmm. I mean, she's enjoyable in this.
It's gotta be tough. Yeah.
I mean,
she is good. That's a good point. That's a good choice too.
Because I do think in the periods where she's emotional, you do feel sorry for her, and you feel like dirty feeling those ways because you're like, oh my god, no, you're a straight up bitch. Yeah. But then she flips the switch quite quickly. So
I'm kind of surprised no one mentioned Ed Sheeran.
Fuck!
Yeah, no, I changed everything. Ed Sheeran, of course.
Let's just rewrite that.
Have you ever seen the Conan Brienne? Interview with Brienne's actress? Gwendolyn Christie.
Yeah, she gets an honorable mention for me. I like her a lot. I really just enjoy her character. So
yeah. Lena Headey. Has anybody seen the Conan interview with her from a couple years back?
No.
Where she's talking about the show and everything, and about Lena's got an interesting story, and I don't know all of it, but I know that there were some real struggles with acting and stuff. Financially, there's a story about her having like basically $20 when the first season of Game of Thrones was filming or something. She's got this very cool personal arc to her, but she was telling these stories on Conan, and he's like, so, but now, with Game of Thrones and everything, are you finding like, people are coming up and they're wanting to talk to you about the show? And she goes, yeah, I get a lot of people going up and going, you that fucking bitch from Game of Thrones. And she's that's like, fun. yeah, kind of.
Kind of.
I think you actually tend to respect great villains, like actors who do great villains, right? Like
yes, because there's a level of sacrifice. Like I forget
of
the
being
show.
Hated. Yeah.
Is it Misfits that Ramsey is in? And I've never watched the show, but I've tried to watch a couple clips just to see him in something else, and it is hard to tear your mind away from the things that he's done in Game of Thrones. And it's the Jackie Gleason, the kid who plays Joffrey, quit acting after the show to pursue like a philanthropic thing, and I think he might have gone to school or something. But there's a lot of theory because like, who's gonna cast Joffrey in anything? Like, not that they're like, oh yeah, he's terrible, but it's like, no, he's Joffrey. Like,
yeah,
what do we want him for? He
killed Ross, that son of a bitch.
Yeah, but it's not even like they associate him with a bad guy. You can't cast him as a bad guy because then people are just like, oh, they just picked Joffrey to be the bad guy. Like,
yeah.
Every time I see him, I don't even think of Game of Thrones. I just think, oh, hey, that's the kid in Batman.
Yeah. Good point.
Yeah, so are we going to do best actor or actress?
Oh, just overall? Now I feel stupid asking the question.
No,
Especially because I have no idea.
I don't know if I could commit to one.
You know who, and I know it's gotten gratuitous in the last few years, and I know people hate a lot of the things that he does, but I think really a huge actor who has an ego that is very easily tempered and who is very down to do things and not necessarily just be himself, but to, not character actor get involved in a role, but
Adam Sandler.
Yeah, Adam Sandler. Jeff Foxworthy. Matt Damon.
Okay.
I do like Matt Damon, and he's not one that I would think I don't seek out Matt Damon, but every time I see him in something, I don't think I've ever rolled my eyes at a Matt Damon in a movie. His surprise cameo in Interstellar was pretty great when that could have just been cringy.
Awesome, yeah. That was so good. And I mean, I would argue that he carried a movie that would be very challenging, right? Like, you have to have acting chops to be able to carry a movie on where you're really the only person in the movie the whole time.
Yeah.
When he, The Martian.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Right? Mm-hmm. So, I mean, you got to have pretty good acting chops.
Did you see the horribly racist The Wall, or the one where he's the
the Asian thing.
No, I Chinese didn't. Archer? Yeah, because you wouldn't be saying this if you saw that movie. As well. Yeah.
And that movie where they shrunk him down is apparently so bad, and I really wanted to see it.
Me too. I never watched it.
I've been bummed that everyone hates it, so that's a bummer.
But it's funny because I think Ben Affleck is one of the premier actors and writers and directors.
Yeah, as long as he's just being sad and boring.
Yeah, Ben's got this.
The Town is one of the best movies.
The Town is fantastic.
Yeah. Ben Affleck, it's hard for me to... I want to just come and try and break him down. I know that I do like him. I know that I kind of liked Batfleck and the things that they were going for with that and things that he's written. It's just, I'm trying not to get his personal life caught up into my assessment of his acting abilities.
Well, I mean, so that's interesting because I would also argue, I mean, he is a piece of shit and batshit crazy, but all of his movies I really enjoy. No, I can't think of his name. I was going to say Tom Hanks. That's not him.
Mel Gibson.
No, Mission Impossible.
Oh, Tom Cruise.
Tom Cruise, yeah. Like, okay,
dude
he's
does his own
shit.
stunts.
Is Tom Cruise a piece of shit?
Yeah.
I know that he's insane, but is he a piece of shit?
I think his role in Scientology is pretty dark.
Really?
Some of the things
I don't know too much about that.
Yeah, I don't know anything about it. I don't know enough to say whether he's a piece of shit or
not. But
his
movies are enjoyable to watch. They are.
Yeah.
I've
actually never seen any Mission Impossible except the first one.
I haven't either.
I wouldn't say those are his strongest, but yeah.
Yeah, he does a lot of action movies. He does his own stunts. I'll give him that.
Yeah,
they're impressive stunts.
Crazy shit doing him too. Yeah.
Well, he was like attached to that plane for like one of the last Mission Impossibles, and the plane actually got off the ground and flew like pretty high. He was outside a fucking plane. Dear Lord, that's crazy. I mean, respect.
Well, I just remember in the one Mission Impossible, they're trying to get this explosion where he gets like pulled into a car when the missile hits like this group on a bridge. And so they talked about the director to like, well, I mean, he could see the pad that's going to hit him, so it just didn't look good. It didn't look good. And then finally he's like, all right, what I'm going to do is I'm going to run with my eyes closed. That way I don't know when it comes. So they do it. He breaks like 3 ribs because he just slams into this car. He's like, but the scene is amazing looking.
Yeah, the shot. I do remember the ad because that was in the ad or that was in the trailer. It was a good scene.
Yeah. Well, like even the one, this last one when he broke his ankle or whatever, doing that jump from roof to roof, like that scene where he broke his ankle because I saw the footage of it when it happened. It's in the trailer. Like they threw it into the trailer because like it looks good.
Yeah,
yeah, he does keep going. So Game of Thrones.
Yeah.
I got to throw a shout out. If we're going to say all that, if we're in that era, and by no means am I saying, I don't know. I don't know if I could pick any of these people as the best actor of our times.
It's tough.
But I have to throw a shout out. Brad Pitt. He's just freaking gorgeous.
He is.
He does good movies. He does good films. Most of the movies he's been in, I thought were very good. I thought he's been very good.
I can't think of a bad Brad Pitt movie right now.
I can't think of a Brad Pitt movie I've seen recently.
Really?
In the last, and by recently I mean in a decade.
You want a tearjerker? Meet Joe Black.
Never seen it.
What's the movie that he
Fury.
I guess Deadpool 2 is the only time I've seen Brad Pitt in the last two.
Assassination of Jesse James
Never even heard of it.
is an excellent movie.
Okay.
You get
What
a little Casey Affleck in that one too.
What is the movie where he's with?
Talk about a piece of shit.
Where he's married and the wife may be a spy for Germany.
Oh, I didn't see that one.
It's I kept saying that. It's really really good. It's another good one.
Prominent films that have come out recently. I can't even think. What about Leo? No one said Leo.
See, so Leo's what came into my mind right away, but I'm interested to see what he kind of goes and does now that he's not so Oscar hungry, because the Revenant was so Oscar bait. And I liked the movie, and yes, he was good in it, but it was like more about the process and the fact that he was going to get so many accolades for it, I think, than it was about him going out of his way to really get involved in a story. Like I thought his acting, not just his commitment, was much better in Django. Mm-hmm. So I'm interested to see.
And even in Django, his commitment was pretty good, because there's that story super popular that he fucking sliced his hand open while filming the scene, and he just kept going.
Great Gatsby. Did you see that film?
I didn't see it. No.
See, I didn't
that one fell. That one fell. Pretty
I hated
flat
that
for me.
book.
I hated the book, so I didn't watch it.
I didn't like the book either.
And then Inception is still to this day a great movie. Yeah.
Both. Now, speaking of Inception and The Revenant, in The Revenant, I really liked Tom Hardy in that movie. I thought Tom Hardy freaking nailed it.
Yeah. He was awesome. And what's his butt was in that movie too? I can't think of his name, but the oldest Weasley brother / General Hux.
Oh, I don't know.
The ginger.
Oh yeah, I would never know that guy's real name.
Yeah.
But yeah, anyway, sorry, Ginger Man.
My favorite scene in all of The Revenant, I know this is not anything to do with Game of Thrones, we've been away from that a while, but I just love at the end of the movie when they're having like the kind of final showdown, and Leo axes Tom Hardy's finger off, and Tom Hardy just goes, "Oh shit!" and he's just like, it's like so matter of fact, like he just kind of like shakes it off.
Got that adrenaline pumping.
What do you think of Joseph Gordon-Levitt? Or
yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
You got it.
Yeah,
he was on such an upward trajectory, and then I don't really think I've seen much from him recently.
Well, did you see the movie where it's him? He works out and watches porn all the time. It's God. Who else
No,
is in the
I
movie?
just remember seeing the trailers for this and thinking that he jumped the shark. Like,
it's hilarious. It's total B movie, but it's great.
Yeah, I should check it out.
I liked him because I like his.
I'm surprised no one said the most prominent actors of our time.
The Rock.
The Rock. How'd you know?
Do you know what? Because I talked about this on the radio the other day. Whenever some movie came out and they announced that The Rock was going to be in, I was like, Jesus Christ. So I went up and looked out IMDb. The Rock has more credits listed next to actor on his name than Nicolas fucking Cage, who was in every movie from 2000 to 2010.
That's amazing.
The Rock.
Have you seen the trailer for the new Fast the new Fast and Furious spinoff?
Oh god,
No,
it's horrible.
no.
My lord. My Lord.
If you guys had to put Dwayne The Rock Johnson into Game of Thrones, who would you? What character would you put
I
him
feel
as?
like he would have to be the Mountain, right?
I was
He
just-
might
have to be
a
the
massive
Mountain, yeah.
human.
That or the Hound. Yeah,
He could have been.
Now the Hound has
been-
too many lines for The Rock.
he would love to be Jorah.
Yeah, I guess
That's who he'd like to
there's
be.
not a Jorah. Yeah, he could be Jorah. Sure, he could be Barristan. You know, you can make someone slightly bigger if you wanted to.
We didn't
He
talk
could be
about
Brienne.
the man who
Just
gets
throw a wig on
paid the
him.
most money per word ever, Keanu Reeves. Like has movies where he says under probably 100 words the entire movie.
Yeah, Keanu. I respect Keanu. He's I don't know as far as his acting chops go. I mean, I'm not saying he's bad. He's in a lot of movies that I really like, and I do like him as an actor. But he's the guy that you see, and I guess I don't know how many are true, but he is the guy that like Hollywood's favorite actor, right? Because he's just like apparently just the nicest dude in the world. He just like rides the subway. Most of his money he gives away,
and he's immortal.
And he is immortal.
You guys seen these conspiracy theories? My God, did they go deep? Yeah, Keanu. I will say, and this might sound like a weird shout out to best actors, just from an acting range perspective. And I know not everybody agrees with this because some people think it's awkward. I think it's only awkward based on the fact that most people couldn't pull it off. But really, the variety of roles that Adam Driver can get away with is impressive.
Okay, he's pretty new. I don't know if I've seen him in enough stuff yet.
Yeah.
To say anything.
Him in Klansman is...
I didn't see Klansman.
Oh, it's so good.
Just knowing that he goes from Girls, from inside Llewyn Davis or whatever, to being like my favorite New Age Star Wars character.
Yeah, I
is impressive.
I know he gets a bad rap for that, but anyone in that role would have just gotten ripped apart.
Yeah, exactly. And he does it so well. He plays the whiny bitch.
Yeah, I don't. And the problems that I have with the new Star Wars have nothing to do with Adam Driver or the actors in general.
Are you referring to the great movie that was Star Wars Episode 8, The Last Jedi?
I am referring to the movie. Episode 8.
Was that how it's known on the internet as the movie to see? Yeah, that's what we hear.
Let me just wash down your hatred here with some green titty milk from a space llama.
It's a trash film. But anyway, just to wrap this up, I do like the idea of whomever he ends up playing, The Rock, in the Game of Thrones. I just like the idea that very far away, he's like just sitting in his little house or wherever he's at, looking out the window, and then all of a sudden the wildfire explosion happens. Maybe he's in Tywin's army, I don't know. And then he turns to his daughter and he just goes, "Daddy's got to go to work."
Perfect.
There's the Emmy win right there.